finding out how would you determine who do you want to best work with, some strategies that you get those folks in,
Yep.
right? One guy that I really love what he does, and he's a heavyweight in the industry of marketing, is Frank Kern. Frank Kern will turn on his ads, man, in such a way that he only wants maybe like 111 people,
Hmm.
because I've seen his ads before, and it's so niche down. He says, I only want people that work in this with this. This business podcast, the Two Business Guys Mastermind, uncovers for you secrets and share tips and tricks to entrepreneurship as they mastermind on how to have startup, operational, and overall business success so that you can go on to get better results. Enjoy. It's a brand new year, everybody, and I think we're going to talk about today. I'm reading a book, Rob, called A Line Out the Door, strategies and lessons to maximize sales, profit, and customer service. And it started
Hmm.
kind of because I've got, some retail operations and, I got my online stuff. I keep asking myself, well, for the retail operation, I want a line out the door, but
Hmm.
I don't want a line to me. Right?
Exactly.
So it's like being selective is going to be critical going forward. So I think our audience could benefit from finding out how would you determine who do you want to best work with, some strategies that you get those folks in,
Yep.
right? One guy that I really love what he does, and he's a heavyweight in the industry of marketing, is Frank Kern. Frank Kern will turn on his ads, man, in such a way that he only wants maybe like 111 people.
Hmm.
Because I've seen his ads before, and it's so niche down. He says, I only want people that work in this with this.
Hmm.
Right now,
Yeah.
what about the young new entrepreneur that's
Yeah.
trying
That's
to
the
work with
thing.
everybody, trying to get the bag?
Well, I think so. Here's the thing, and I think this is the problem with that part of the industry, right? Like it sounds great, niche down, do this, do that, right? But I think what a lot of people struggle with, and what is missing in the industry, and I would like to hear your thoughts on this too, because you're in the marketing side more, like hire marketers. I'm not a marketer, right? And so I'm wondering, since this is your industry, what I see it as from a business owner perspective, when I'm looking for marketers and when I was trying to learn how to do it myself and all the rest of that over the last 4 years. One of the things that people say is they'll say stuff like niche down. They'll say, you want to know who your exact client is. And I get that, right? And it makes sense. We teach it when I talk to new entrepreneurs. But I'm always trying to figure out the how to make it easier, how to make it better, how to get the people where they are instead of
Mhm.
trying to tell them about where we are, right? How to build that bridge.
Mhm.
So I say all that to say, I feel like a lot of people say, figure out who you want to work with and think about this and think about that. When a lot of business owners, when they're first starting out, have no idea what the answers to those questions are because they haven't worked with enough people to know, oh, I don't like this person. I don't like. It's just like when you first starting out and you're starting a date, right? When you're in high school, when you're in college, you don't know enough about people to know who you want as your mate. Like you don't even know enough about yourself to know
Right,
who
right.
you would want as your mate, right? Like, and so many people put that pressure on people to know instead of to find out. And I think the big thing is it's not know who your ideal client is; it's figure out who your ideal client is.
Mm.
Serve people. The first thing that I would tell people: if you're in business, go make money, go sell. Sell to 100 people. And once you've sold to 100 people, you'll know out of that 100 people which ones you like the best, which ones you didn't like so much, all the rest of that type of stuff. But I think the biggest thing is go sell to 100 people. And then you can figure all of the rest of that type of stuff out. Because I think a lot of people have made one sale, two sale, and they're trying to figure this thing out. And there's no way you can figure it out because you just haven't had enough reps. You don't have enough information. So I wonder, what do you think about that, Randy?
It's okay. I'm watching this show. I don't know how this show caught me, but it was fascinating. And they were talking about, I think it was from a show on the YouTube channel. If you ever all want to go see it, it's called Spark. And they talk about quantum physics and all this kind of stuff. So here I am. All I can think about is business. and they're talking about quantum physics, and or quantum mechanics. Okay, and here this is.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's a question I asked myself that I think answers this. It says, I says, like quantum mechanics, can I create a business so as to explore all paths at the same time, thus giving myself massive efficiency in income creation? Now, from what I was watching, how they said when you drop a pebble, you notice how the waves go out to feel their way. And this particular thing they're talking about, it says it goes in all directions to find what it's trying to do. Inefficient, we on the surface, we look at it and go, yeah, that's inefficient because it's going in all these directions. And it says, no, efficient because it's finding what attaches to it, whatever, however it goes. But I thought about that. And to your point, finding out who you want to work with involves working with a lot of people. It really kind of, when I looked at that, it quantified for me or validated for me some of the approaches that I took when I started Our Bridge Business Institute. I says, I want to work in a lot of areas to get a lot of reps. Mm-hmm. Right. So I looked at it and I says, okay, I want to get my 10,000 hours in, blah, 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 but I want to work. I didn't want to become a perfect person because I wasn't going to be doing brain surgery and all that kind of stuff. I was going to be doing business. Mm-hmm. Right. So I was inspired by like the Jay Abrahams that says, I've worked in many industries and they all inform me to now help you. Mm-hmm. So my opinion on this is that depending on the kind of business that you have, that you can seek out in many directions and then get your reps, right? And be curious about, hey, here's who came through one of our landing pages. This is one thing I've been talking, I'm working with a guy right now. And I says, let's get you 20 to 30 buy buttons out there, right? So that you can start getting, I says, now your house is your house, but these become little pathways to your house, right? Or doors or whatever, I can't remember the analogy I used, but you try working with a lot of different things so you get those reps in. That's my approach. Mm-hmm. It's the shotgun versus the sniper. Exactly. Right? Approach. You heard that. Shotgun business, sniper business, blah, blah, blah. Now, eventually you're going to get to a point where that's going to wear you out a little bit. And then from those reps, you kind of understand who you are, understand, if we use the baseball or whatever analogy, how you like to hit, what pitches you like to hit from, blah, blah, blah. But in the beginning, I'm of the approach, man, that you do what nature does very well, goes out in all directions.
Exactly. No, I agree. And I think the issue is just that it's in the beginning versus once you're proficient. Right. I just got finished coaching my son's basketball team today. Right. And they're fifth and sixth graders. They're just learning the game. They're just understanding it. Right. And it's so funny when you're coaching little kids, one of the hardest things to get them to do is shoot the ball. It's the craziest thing in the world. But if there's anybody within 5 feet of them, they're like, I'm going to try to find somebody to pass to.
I'm passing.
And right.
He's selfish, son.
Right. And it's not even just being selfish. It's helping them to understand what's the name of the game. The name of the game is basketball. You have to get the ball in the basket in order for any of what you're doing to matter. Right.
That's funny.
And so
check
often,
it up, son.
Right. Shoot. Because here's the thing. They're worried about, and you see it because you hear so many people talk about good shots, bad shots. They're worried about making good shots, not understanding that the level they're at, they wouldn't recognize a good shot if they saw one.
So, everything is a good shot.
Exactly. That's the whole deal, because nobody at their level is making their shots at such a clip that you need to be worried about taking good shots. At this level, they need to be worried about shooting the ball, getting shots up and getting rebounds and getting shots up and getting rebounds and getting shots up and getting into that habit. Right. But I'm sitting there the whole time, literally. And it's so funny because later on, when I coach high school ball, when we deal with people at college and the pros, it's a whole different experience. In high school and college and the pros, you actually will get sat down for taking bad shots. There are good shots and there are bad shots. And you work the offense out to get good shots and all the rest of that type of stuff. But it's just like those business owners. The beginning of your business, every shot is a good shot because you're shooting. And it's the same thing. You don't have a business if you don't make sales. So don't worry about what's a good sale, what's a bad sale. Worry about making sales. Because if you're making sales, you'll start to be able to discern good sales and bad sales. But if you're making no sales, you don't know the difference anyway. Right? Wayne
Yeah.
Gretzky said it one time, you miss 100% of the shots you never take.
Now, oh yeah. So let's think about. You remember? This is an old school business writer. His name is Chet Holmes. I think he had a book called. I want to say I got it up here. Spin Selling.
Okay, no, I haven't heard
Well,
that one.
anyway, Chet. Yeah, there it is. No, wrong guy. But anyway, not Spin Selling. But anyway, Chet Holmes. I think he was talking about. He says, get your 100 ideal customers, and then Russell Brunson did some work on that too, right? Because I mean we've all read the folks, right? But imagine getting 100 ideal customers. So in other words, this is who I would like to work with.
Yeah,
that's 100, not 10.
No, I'm tracking.
100.
And what's his name? Vern Harnish talks about that too. 100 ideal customers. And again, I think that if you look at the histories of the people that are like, yeah, and I went and did that, it wasn't their first rodeo. It wasn't the first time they sold something. Like, for example, Russell Brunson will tell you the story. Like, he knows all that stuff now with ClickFunnels and all the rest of that. But you got to remember, his first business was a potato gun business.
Yeah.
And he didn't get ideal customers. He went and created a thing, and then he went and put it out there, and it sold. And then he figured out how to sell it better. And then, right, it was first, he just went and got sales. Then he learned business. It's so much harder to learn business when you're selling nothing, because everything that you're doing is theory, not actual practice.
You're selling nothing. Listen to everyone. That was a gold nugget right there, right? So hopefully you just picked that up. All right. So I sent Rob this picture. Did you see the picture? Book of list. All right. Now, so I'm kind of a nut when it comes to ideas falling into your lap. You're like, so I sent him all this excited message. I says, are you kidding me right now? I says, not only did somebody just drop off gold nuggets to me, but they left me a shovel and a satchel. Right. Yep. So now you got a shovel. So in other words, a book of list was just a list of just hundreds of potential clients. So now let's bring in some Gary V stuff. Gary V says, well, go run ads against all those names.
Yep.
Right. And, kind of get used to the word against. But in other words, you plug in the industry. So you want to, you want to find your 100 people. Who you want to find out who you like to work with best. Well, let's go get those reps in. So even if you're a business right now and you're starting, you can use this. Even if your business and your business is kind of like needs a restart. It needs a jump. Bam. My car was earlier in the winter when we had that real bad snow. My car wouldn't start. Now I'm pissed because I know that battery's kind of new. And it just needed a jump. So if your business needs a jump, this is one way to do it. Go collect or get somebody to collect for you 100 potential names. Now, get yourself some software that can run ads against those names. Find out where they might be. Most people are on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
Run ads against it.
But again, I'm gonna push a little bit because, right? Let's equate this to college, right? You got 101 classes, you got 201 classes, you got 301 classes, you got 401 classes, then you got grad level classes, right? So many people don't understand that marketing is your 201 level stuff. And what do I mean when I say that? When you're running ads, what you're assuming is, I know how to close the people when I get them. What you're assuming is, I know how to talk to people and make a sale when I get people coming to me. And here's the funny thing that I notice with a lot of entrepreneurs, the reason they're not marketing is because they're scared of selling.
Yes.
And they know that if they go and market, they're going to have to sell.
Yes.
So this is again where I get back to, it's extremely important that you get good at knowing what your value is, knowing what it is you're presenting to the customer, so that when somebody comes in front of you, you're confident, I can do this. Is this what you want? I ain't even got to sell you. As Zig Ziglar said, selling is nothing other than helping people get what they already want.
Yes.
But if you're not confident that what you have does what they need, that's your first thing. And that's the reason why I say get a lot of reps in. When you've got people that you've gotten the result, 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 it changes. One of my mentors, Darren Hardy, says it like this: competent breeds confidence. I say it again for y'all. Competence, being able to do a thing,
Right.
breeds confidence or belief in your future ability to do that thing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What's gonna be your closer?
Right.
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 Now it depends on what level you're presenting yourself at, right? I've been really pushing the law of thirds, right? So can you create three levels? And what's starting to kick in for me is that I've been doing just a lot of research and all these different things, right? And now I'm kind of like ready. It's early, and I'm like New Year, and I'm full of vinegar, and I'm like, oh, I'm applying it all, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then, can you create three levels of you, right? Literally, I was talking to a lady the other day. I says, okay, here's the you that people get to, and that costs them 30,000 just to work with you, right? I says, now from that, peel off two other opportunities for them to be introduced to your work.
Yep.
Right. And then I says, okay, if we looked at it from the approach that getting you is just going to be like, I'm going to come in and I'm gonna work with your organization and I'm gonna do it for you. Right. Then that middle one is, well, you want me to help you? I'll do it with you. And then you got the one that says, okay, all right, smart person, you want to do it yourself. Here's something for you as well. Right. But these become these micro salespeople out there working for you. Now, I believe in creating multiple opportunities based on what you know is happening in the marketplace, right?
And
so in other words,
you can provide. Yep.
I'll give you something strange, right? So I'm an affiliate guy. I work with affiliate companies. I spin up these little sites and put some words on there, SEO it a little bit, maybe do some PR stuff, blah, 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 get people over there, right? Well, I'm looking at, I went to some big site and I found out the things that was being searched out a lot. And something that caught my eye was anxiety beds for dogs. I know I was looking for bean bags. And then I came across anxiety beds for dogs. So I said, anxiety beds. Now I had I wasn't going to go out there and create nothing for dogs, but I saw how many times it was being searched for. In other words, that's a problem. People are looking for it. My dog's anxious. He's tripping. He's running around. So I thought, this might be just an opportunity to create a site, put on that site things for dogs to help calm them down. One being anxiety beds, because it was being searched out so much, right? So now the approach that I'm taking, instead of, hey, this is the business person that I would like to work with, and I turned it into, well, here's what's being searched for. So it is a business. Now, can I create something, a buy button, an opportunity for people to buy from me? Kind of the set it and forget it approach, right? So I says, let me go over to my builder. I started building some stuff out, and I started looking at all, other stuff that people were saying. The only thing that got me in the end that made me say, yeah, I'm going to do this, was I saw so many anxiety beds on Amazon that just didn't pay a lot. So it was a pass. It has to be a certain price right now for me to make it make sense. Right. And they had stuff down there for like $57. And I was like, nah, it was too slow of money. You see my point? But also, get this, that was a thing that was being searched out. So imagine this, your business, everyone. So you talk about, who you want to work with. Well, who needs a problem solved that you believe your life experiences, your approach, what you've learned can be of service or leveraged. Right. It doesn't have to be a direct line. Oh, I've never done marketing. Yeah, but you maybe have done leadership. And if you could do leadership, then perhaps, as you've said to me before, it starts with leadership.
Always.
Plain and simple. It starts with leadership. right? Can you maybe the
Mm-hmm.
leader go gets a whole bunch of marketers? I don't know,
Yeah, that's
right?
the whole
So
idea. That's the whole
that
idea, right?
becomes
Like
the
I told you,
opportunity for
I
you.
don't I don't do the marketing. I hire marketers, right? And in that space, I think that what you're talking about is so important. There's a video that I just got finished watching. Another amazing marketer, amazing guy by the name of Myron Golden. I know
Oh
you
yeah, I
heard of
know Myra.
you heard of
Yeah,
him.
I've
Yeah,
been watching his
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. He did a video
That
just
dude makes
recently.
$3 million a month.
That was a month exactly. He did a video recently where he basically broke down like the four different types of businesses that you can run. And he
Mhm.
and so go and find it, and we'll try to put it in the notes or whatever. Put a link to it in the description below. I'll shoot it to you after
Okay.
off camera. But in the video for you all that are out there watching, what was really cool about it was what he was talking about is you've got to understand what is the right type of business for you as a business owner.
Mhm.
So when you're looking at what's the right type of client, a lot of people are trying to find, again, they start with what's the problem I can solve, all the rest of the type of stuff. But before you get into any of that, the big thing you want to look at is what do you want your business to do for you?
Yeah.
What are you trying to do? And he talked about there's different types of businesses, right? Like Walmart, um, and he called it a Waltonpreneur, right? Is the low margin, high volume type of business. Now, there's a
Mhm.
lot of guys that are making millions of dollars on Amazon, selling exactly what Randy was talking about, $57, but they sell 1,000 of them a month,
Right.
right? And they make $3 on or $5 on each one, and so that's $5,000 a month on that one item, and they got 15 items, and so they make $50,000 a month on nickel and dime $5, $10 items that they make. They just run tons of ads to it and they do the whole deal, right? That's one type of business. If
Mhm.
you like inventory management and all the rest of that type of stuff, then that might be for you. He talked about another one, which is where a lot of people get their start, which is low volume and low price, which is where you just are learning to sell. You don't really understand how to sell all the rest of that. And we call those cupcake and beads businesses, right? Those are the businesses where you're not making much margins on the stuff that you're selling. You're not selling a whole bunch. You sell 10 to 20 items a month, and you just basically you got a hobby that you're making some money on,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But when you move into entrepreneurship, you got something that you got a little bit more of a volume and or a little bit more of a margin, maybe not as much price. Like my business is a low volume business. I might serve
Low
over the course,
volume, very high margin.
right, very high margin, right? We do six figures, but I might serve 20 clients a year, right? But in the clients that I'm working with, I'm doing a tremendous service for them. So we make pretty decent profit margins. And now we're moving into what we want to be, and the kind of and he called this the wealthpreneur, right? Is in the space where you're actually doing high volume and high margins. That's what we're moving into this year. That's why I'm bringing on marketers to bring more traffic so that we can increase volume. And we're doing stuff that have high margins still, but less margins than we would do. So a lot of the deals that we do are 5 figure and
Yeah.
high five
Yeah.
figure deals. But we're looking to do some 4 figure deals, but to do a lot of volume of those 4 figure deals. Because if we can do 10 4 figure deals, right? Now we're talking about 5 figure and above and mid 5 figure deals. So, um, but the key is knowing what you want to do. I knew for me, I had to build a business the way that I built it, high volume, I mean, high margin, low volume, because I needed to build the financial foundation for what I'm actually going to be building for the business that I'm actually going to be doing, which is helping people all over the world and doing a whole bunch of things. But I needed to build a financial foundation. So we needed high margins. I couldn't be doing nickel and dime type stuff
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's smart.
because,
Knowing the business
right,
that you want to go into.
that's the key. And so I think, and he explains it a lot better than I just did. So again, we'll link to it down in the description. But before you go try to find the customers, know what you want your business to do for you, because then you can go find the customers that are looking to do that,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I think so many times business owners feel like they get stuck with the market, but it's like, no, Sam Walton chose people that are focusing on the lowest price. He could have just as easily had a Nordstrom's or a Gucci or right, like he could have done one of those types of businesses, but he wanted to do low price business. Ruth's Chris as a steakhouse intentionally chooses that you're gonna pay $50 or more for a steak. And if that's not what you're trying to do, like don't come to our restaurant. We
Keep it
good,
moving.
right? And you just got to know who you're trying to serve and what the model is that you're trying to employ. Because once you start going and getting people in and all the rest of that type of stuff, it shrinks. Like Randy was saying, when you go out in all directions, you go out in all directions, but then you always are going to be narrowing down over time.
Mhm.
Because as you get better at knowing that I can hit that target, then you aim small, miss small. But first, you got to know that you can hit the target.
You become a
If you can't hit the
sniper.
target, exactly, you become a sniper. Because if you can't hit the target, aim small, miss small don't matter, right? Because you're missing whether you aim small or you aim big. First,
It's
you got to
really
be able to
interesting,
hit what you're aiming at.
we apologize to all the vegans out there for these analogies, but shotgun approach, you're gonna get a lot of rabbits, right? You're gonna get some things. You're gonna have some stew. You're gonna have some soup. Nobody's gonna starve, but eventually you're gonna go. I would really like elk, and I don't think a shotgun's gonna get it done. So
Nah,
I
not
gotta
at all.
develop. So and now these analogies also should allow you to see that there may be skill development involved, right?
That's the key.
Whereas one, I'm saying shotgun approach. Let's put a whole bunch of buy buttons out there, get you some money, some financial foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you start, as your customers start driving you crazy, and you start going, you know what, I need to work something else out. And I've been hearing a lot about that lately, by the way. And maybe that'll be a different podcast of what's burning people out in the entrepreneurship space, right? Even if
Yes.
you're high revenue, it's dealing with all the rigmarole that comes along with that. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and so you start thinking about your skill set that's developing, right? And you want to eat, so you do not starve. You want to make sure that you're setting enough traps, putting enough buy buttons out there, trying different things, et cetera, et cetera. But when you start doing things and start thinking about your systems and scales and all that kind of stuff, scaling and all that, it's going to develop a different for you. It's going to develop a different skill set in you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I tell you, man, this is always a hard question for the entrepreneur starting out. But the one that's seasoned and tired, it is not. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I say tired because they're going, there's no way I'm chasing a whole bunch of rabbits. I'm just not doing that. Right.
Exactly.
And they says if I get 1, 2, 3 good clients a year, that's all I need.
Right. And once you've chased enough rabbits, you know how much energy it takes to catch them. You know that because when you're chasing those rabbits, you're gonna catch some other stuff as well. You're gonna hit some other stuff and be like, oh, this works for that too. And
Right.
I can eat for a week off of this, whereas I can only eat for a day off of that. If it takes the same amount of energy, let me just focus on finding where those are.
Yeah.
And that's where
you
you
hear
start
that.
niching down.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that when? So when we think about who you want to work with and determining. So
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like you're saying that, well, try some stuff, decide, get some reps in, and then if it's working for you, if your belly is reasonably full, you got a stock full of, I don't know, bag of cash somewhere or whatever, then kind of hone in and start like big game hunting, if you will.
Exactly. A
Yeah.
lot of it is right in Great by Choice. Jim Collins talks about it like this. He's the guy that wrote Good to Great, Built to Last, a lot of those amazing business books. One of the things he said is fire
Great by choice.
bullets and then cannonballs.
Ooh, I like that.
Right? Bullets and then cannonballs. And what he's explaining is if you only got enough gunpowder to fire one cannonball, and then you got a whole bunch of these bullets that you can fire too, it's better to fire the bullets so that if you miss, it's okay. You can fire another bullet, and you figure out so that you're calibrating your weapon.
Are.
So now once you know that you're at center mass and you can hit center mass, now you fire that cannonball because you're going to take out that other ship or that other tank or whatever it is. But if you fire your cannonball first and you miss, now you can't keep them away from you with them bullets.
That's
right?
interesting.
And so in this space, I think that a lot of entrepreneurs are trying to bag the whale or trying to, find the elephant deal first. And again, it's like, you don't know that you can shoot the elephant if you find it. Get good
Wow. Yeah.
at shooting, get good at hitting the target, then go find big game, because now you have the skills that are necessary to go get that big game.
Yeah. It's so, and this is why they call it entrepreneurship, everyone. It's not always easy. Right?
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
It's not always easy because, again, you've got to decide on so many different things. So as we think about what to decide on, whether it's who you want to work with or what business that you want to spin up, Rob, what are some things that you're thinking about? Or maybe it's just the same thing.
So we think
about targets or New Year resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
New Year revolution. Yeah. New Year resolutions. I didn't make a resolution. I made a decision based on some targets I'd like to hit.
Right.
No, what are some things that you said for your business? I want to work with X. I want to make X.
Yeah. No.
Want a Myron Golden's thing, $3 million a month?
No, not yet. We're on that pathway though. We're on our pathway to 7 figures. But I think there's 2 things. First off, and I teach all of my students this, and whether it's business or whether it's professional students, executive students, there's the first 2 steps of mastering your time, right? Number 1, define success. Number 2, set and align your priorities. You've got to define success first. A lot of people try to set their goals first. And setting your goals is difficult because you're trying to plot your path without a destination.
This is interesting. Right? I want to follow this. Define success first.
Define success first, and then you set and align your priorities, your goals, your milestones on the way to success. And so what does that mean? So when you know why you're doing what you're doing, when you know what it's for, where you're trying to go, right? If you give an analogy, if we're both in Michigan right now, if we were going on a trip, first thing we have to do is we have to say where we're going. All right, we're going to Southern California, finding success. Now, how we get to Southern California, it's a whole bunch of different questions. There's a whole bunch of different things that we got to know. And that comes from the definition of success. When are we getting to California? Are we getting to California in a month? Are we getting to California in a day? Are we getting to California in a couple of hours? That'll dictate how we get to California. That'll dictate what we can do on the way to California. That'll dictate whether we're going the right way or not.
So that's your priorities. Align your priorities.
Set and align your priorities. But it starts with defining success, right? So in our business, one of the things that we define as success, we have a big BHAG, it's called 30 by 30. We got our 2030 goal is that we have touched 30 million people with our message, the people manifesting greatness, leaders facilitating the transformation message in the 10 years between 2020 and 2030, right? And we're moving along. We're doing that. I think with a lot of the ad stuff that we did last month, we hit about 30, 40,000 people with our message, and we're continuing to grow, continuing to improve, right? But 30 by 30, 30 million by 30. So that's our big, where are we going? And then so what we do is we set and align our priorities. We back up. We've got a 5-year plan. We got a 3-year plan. And then we do our 1-year strategic plans. So without going all the way into it, our 1-year plan for this year is to reach 600K in revenues, right? Or more.
Now, BHAG, everyone, is big,
hairy, audacious, moonshot goal.
But what Rob is putting down, key. Define success. How do I know when I got there? Because there's really something amazing. Yesterday, I said to myself just yesterday, I says, hey, I do mantras and all that kind of stuff. Something amazing is going to happen to me today. Something amazing, something amazing. Now I'll say something like something financially amazing is happening right now. Right. So my mind and RA system starts looking at things, right? And just like, where is it? Then I started turning it to now a question. Am I prepared to accept something amazing, something financially amazing? Yes or no? Right. And these are things that I've honed, listening to other people, listening to the quantum people and all this kind of stuff, expectations, folks, and self-development, all that kind of stuff. You hear this in all people that are of wealth. they've
Mm-hmm.
had these kind of mantras and all these different things that just attracted all this good stuff. So
Yeah.
I
Tell
asked
the
this one
universe what you
question,
want.
yeah, and it always delivers. So I says, am I prepared? And I was only going to do like a little 2-hour meeting today. I says, am I prepared to accept $1,000 from this meeting? And it wasn't a money meeting, but it's like, hey, I need to quantify my time.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm telling you, had the meeting, right? Nothing spectacular from the meeting. It was designing some stuff. And then the person says, hey, did you get your deposit? I was like, what deposit? He says, well, last week I sent you $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, we're talking about to the exact number that I
Exactly.
said.
Yep. No,
Now,
I agree
now
with
I
you
don't want to go woo
100%.
woo on y'all, but so
It's it.
what are you asking for? How are you defining
Yeah.
what
How are you
that
defining
success
what
looks
that
like?
looks like? Exactly. And you got to have it. You got to have the idea, right? Like, and I laugh about it. It's January 7th. We already have more money in our bank account from deals that we have built this year than I made my whole first year in business.
Now, imagine this. This is a cautionary tale, everyone. And Rob has some in his one of his books. He talks about, well, you can keep moving the goalposts, but then you never,
You never
I
get
don't know,
there.
you never
You never
bask in the
get there.
glory.
Right. You never bask in, and what happens is it actually changes your experience of accomplishment. But so to that point,
So
right?
define it,
You
see it,
define it, see
and
it,
go,
and
oh,
and then you after you've defined it, you've seen it. Now you start working on, so how do we get there? What is okay? What's the steps? How do we need to get there? And so when you look at how we broke down the steps, so we set $600,000 as our goal, right? And I just sat down and just had a meeting with my team. We did our quarterly strategy meeting earlier this month. Earlier this week, and we sat down and we worked out everything. We got all of the order, all of the things. Remember, we set and align our priorities. So there's different parts of my business. I've got a speaking part of my business. I've got a consulting part of my business. I've got a coaching part of my business. I've got a program and courses part of my business. And so we went and outlined what's the number one priority. What is most of our energy focusing on? What projects get the most energy? Then what's the number two? What's the number three? What's number four? We did that for everything that we're doing, and we set the priorities, right? We align the priorities. And so now everybody in the company understands exactly what we're doing, exactly why we're doing it, and exactly what their part of it is. And so now, as we're moving forward, we have goals with our Thriving in Chaos program, which we've launched. Right, we're doing on the 16th. We're doing a a double your time masterclass that we're doing for 5 days that people can get access to us. And we're doing a whole bunch of stuff. We've got the marketing team working. We've got all these things going. But here's the key: it's all aligned. It's all making sure that we're not just doing stuff in 50 different directions, because we're not searching anymore. We know what
you're
works.
not
We know
shooting the
what's there.
shotgun.
We're not right. We're not shooting shotgun. We're not shooting little bullets. We got our cannonballs and they're aimed and we're knocking it down. Right. And so then you just go and execute. And I think what a lot of people do though is they try to figure out the plan before they figure out the destination.
See, and that's when Rob and I roll out one of the ideas that we're working on too, kind of in concert with what we already do personally, and this idea is when we talk about the pathway to 100K. When we talk about that, that's what we're getting at. Is can we help you create a pathway,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we talk about it from this perspective, not of, hey, we're some old grizzled veteran and we've done it all, and now we're just like, no, we're saying, hey, here we're on a journey too. We haven't 100% arrived, but we've had some successes that indicate to us that it's possible. So, mine has been, can I make $100,000 to $1 million? I've increased it 100,000 to $1 million in income a month. Can I do that? How would it look like? What would it look like? Am I prepared? Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this mantra of, am I prepared to accept earning 100,000 to $1 million a month? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to answer yes or no to that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So two
Mm-hmm.
things happen. We get cognitive congruency, and that's not the word I'm looking for, but we're looking at addressing cognitive dissonance. If I say no, but then somewhere along the line I said, well, that's what I want, it creates a little bit of a friction. But then if I say yes, it becomes the self-fulfilling prophecy possibility. So, and these are some things I have been coming across, listening to more, quantum mechanics and quantum physics and all this kind of stuff, and the expectation and like Einstein said, no, that's spooky, and then this person says no, it only once observed is. And it's like, what? So I was listening to this. It's like once observed, it is. In other words, the universe creates it, but only if you are observing it. It's like, what? So I decided, okay.
And the non woo-woo kind of, or the normal way of saying that is perception is reality.
Exactly. So I said, well, why not just perceive that? And then ask the question, are you prepared to receive? Yes or no? In other words, can you, and then, okay, now then you start saying, well, what could I build that with? Now, if you're sitting around and you got a sack as a overcoat, you got to start asking yourself some questions, right? What would I need? What would that look like? What do I need to do? Right? What would I need to build? So in other words, you start setting and aligning your priorities.
There you go.
You start saying, well, that's it. In order for me to do that, I could trade some time for money, but I know that's going to be exhausting. So I should probably create some things that productize my time. Yes. Right. And then I should probably see, now you hear what Rob said. He says, listen, I had to get a base of income. I got a family, they're growing up, they need stuff, and I need to get a base so that I'm just not out there being irresponsible. Once you get a base, now you start saying, I can put the juice to marketing at a higher level, going out, getting 30,000 impressions to get one customer kind of a thing. Right. So then you start going, wait a minute, if I get one customer, then the money I spent is covered. Yes. So you start kind of understanding what to do then, given what you now know. And it kind of follows oftentimes entrepreneurs can't see it. They can't see it. Well, I can't see the fact that some, coal place put some coal in a spot and created energy or some hydroelectric. I can't see that, but I just want the light to come on. So when we're talking about pathway, helping you build a pathway, really, it's about that mental pathway first.
Always,
I want y'all to hear that.
Always.
Right?
You got to see it first.
Can you see
Robert Kiyosaki says, be, do, have.
Be, do, have. We talk about this all the time. And if you've been with us a minute, this is what we get after. Now, here's the interesting thing. If some whole other person can do it, you can do it, right?
Exactly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You're 5'4", somebody's 7'6", they're dunking. Just because that person dunked, it shows you that all I have to do is put the ball in the hoop. Now, how you do that, you may have to get a little bouncy thing. Oh, I can put the ball in the hoop. Yep. Now you can dunk.
There you go.
Now you can act 7'6". But that becomes that stuff that you start, I think, turning to your favor by leveraging things to achieve the same outcome. But if you say, well, I'll never be able to dunk because I'm not 7'6", you've already lost.
Exactly.
You see why?
You've already said it can't be. You can't. It's impossible.
Right. And we says, well, dunking in essence is putting with your hand the ball in the hoop in such a fashion that it looks like swish or whatever. And you go, well, how then can I do that? Who can help me do that?
How can I do it? Who can help me? Because there's a lot of ways that you're unaware of until you start asking the right questions. But don't drop too much on them now. We don't want to overload them. We
kind of, and there it is.
Yeah. We got you. So you know the drill. It's the beginning of the year. Get yourselves ready. Get working on what you're trying to do. Understand that you got to define success. You got to get your mind right. And then you got to set and align your priorities. Set your milestones. Get ready to move. And ultimately, you first want to make sales so that you can then figure out who is your ideal customer. Before you try to make sales, before you try to do any of that, figure out what you want your business to do for you. Again, define success.
And I know, Rob, you've got a list of more things that can help you in that direction. But just those two, y'all, just those two. You wake up tomorrow morning, you say, here's what success to me looks like. And then you say, well, priority one, in order to get there, priority one suggests I do this. Then if you look around and go, who do I know has already done that? And you get a model and you go, oh, they have? Yes. Who can I listen to that keeps me pumped up? Well, you call us up, right? Or you listen to all our stuff, consume our content. That we're going to pump you up. And we're going to show you pathways. And then you go, well, I'll never be able to do that because, well, no, we're on our journey too. Right. And then you go, well, they're kind of like close to what I want to do. They don't look too much different than me. I think I can listen, watch, follow, and then model. Right. And then you start aligning those priorities, those top two things. If you could do that, define it, priorities to then get there. Right. May mean I got to cut out some TV time. It may mean I need to do a couple of things. I got to tell some friends that I'm not hanging this weekend. Right. When I make that bag, then I'll take everybody out.
Yep.
So I think we can leave them with that, Rob.
Once you got success. I love it. No, that's
good. If we leave them with that, and you all see that we've got something that we're putting together ourselves to get you to that pathway, or you want to go to one of Rob's things, right? That kind of get you, his might be a little higher level. So you got to bring a bigger bag. But if you're just that starting out stage or that middle stage, or you need a little, you need to be shocked like my battery needed earlier to be, thank you. I need a little juice. And it's been running perfect ever since. Then that's what we're going to do for you.
No problem. Yeah.
So look for the links. We're going to get
a couple of things coming. We're going to be putting some stuff in the comments and the links, and you're going to see some stuff coming your way. This year is going to be an interesting year. We're going to be helping, me and Randy going to be helping a lot of people this year.
And that's it. We're helping a lot of people, y'all. That's the key. We'll see you on the inside of it.
Happy New Year, and let's make 2023 your best year ever.